scientists said this was impossible. In 132 AD, a Chinese astronomer built a machine that detected earthquakes 400 miles away, 1700 years before modern seismology existed. For centuries, historians called it a myth. Then researchers built one themselves, and what happened next changed everything. The year is 132 AD. The Han Dynasty rules over 60 million people across one of the largest empires on Earth. But here is the problem that kept emperors awake at night. China sits on some of the most active fault lines in the world. Earthquakes strike without warning, destroying cities, killing thousands, and worst of all, the emperor only learns about these disasters weeks later, when exhausted messengers finally arrive. By then, it is too late to send help. Zhang Heng, the royal astronomer, mathematician, and inventor, presents Emperor Shun with an impossible promise. A bronze vessel, 8 feet tall, decorated with 8 dragons and 8 toads, that will tell them instantly when an earthquake strikes and exactly which direction it came from. The court erupts in skepticism. But here is the question that baffled historians for nearly 2,000 years. Did it actually work? And if so, how? Zhang Heng was not some mystic making wild claims. He was arguably the most brilliant scientist of his era. He had already calculated pi to 4 decimal places, mapped 2,500 stars, invented the world's first water-powered armillary sphere, and correctly theorized that the moon reflected sunlight rather than producing its own light. When this man said he could detect earthquakes, people listened, even if they did not believe. The device he created was called the Hofeng Didonjiao, which translates to instrument for measuring seasonal winds and earth movements. 8 bronze dragons circled the vessel, each holding a small bronze ball in its jaws. Below each dragon sat a bronze toad with its mouth wide open. The principle, Zhang Heng explained, was simple. When an earthquake occurred, the dragon facing that direction would release its ball. The ball would fall into the toad's mouth with a loud clang, alerting the court and pointing toward the disaster. Simple in theory. But here is what seemed impossible. Think about what this device needed to accomplish. It had to detect vibrations so faint that humans could not feel them. It had to distinguish earthquake waves from passing carts, marching soldiers, or someone simply bumping the vessel. It had to determine direction accurately from hundreds of miles away. And it had to do all of this with bronze, copper, and materials available in 2nd century China. No electricity. No sensors. No computers. Now here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The ancient texts describing this device are remarkably detailed about its exterior, the dragons, the toads, the decorative mountains and tortoises. But they are frustratingly vague about the internal mechanism. We know what it looked like. We do not know how it worked. For 1700 years, that internal mystery remained unsolved. Western historians largely dismissed the device as ceremonial, decorative, perhaps symbolic but certainly not functional. They assumed ancient Chinese simply could not have possessed such sophisticated understanding of seismic waves. But here is what those dismissive scholars overlooked. The ancient records contain one detail that changes everything. In 138 AD, 6 years after Zhang Heng presented his invention, something remarkable happened. One of the bronze dragons released its ball with a loud clang, pointing west toward the Longxi region. Nobody in the capital felt anything. No shaking, no rumble, nothing. Courtiers laughed. The device had malfunctioned, they said. Zhang Heng's reputation would be ruined. But he remained calm. Wait, he told them. Just wait. Days passed. Then a messenger arrived, exhausted from riding 400 miles. There had been a massive earthquake in Longxi. Exactly where the dragon had pointed. Exactly when the ball had fallen. The court fell. Silent. Think about what this means. The device detected an earthquake 400 miles away, distinguished it from local vibrations, and correctly identified its direction, all in the 2nd century. But wait. There is still that nagging question. But that is not even the most impressive part. Because for all the historical accounts, modern scientists still could not explain how it worked. The internal mechanism remained a complete mystery. Then in 2005, a team of Chinese researchers decided to stop theorizing and start building. They constructed a full-scale working replica using only materials and techniques available in 2nd century China. What they discovered absolutely stunned the scientific community. The key was not just a simple pendulum, which most historians assumed. Zhang Heng had invented something far more sophisticated. The device used an inverted pendulum, suspended from above, balanced at a critical point of instability. When seismic waves arrived, this pendulum responded to specific frequencies while ignoring random vibrations. The genius was in the geometry. The pendulum connected to 8 separate lever systems, each pointing to one of the cardinal and intermediate directions. Here is where the engineering gets absolutely brilliant. Think about the problem Zhang Heng faced. He needed the device sensitive enough to detect distant earthquakes but stable enough to ignore local noise. Modern seismologists call this the signal-to-noise ratio. It is one of the fundamental challenges in seismology even today. Zhang Heng's solution was to tune his pendulum to resonate with specific frequencies. Earthquake waves travel at particular frequencies depending on their origin distance. Local vibrations, like carts or footsteps, produce higher frequencies. Distant earthquakes produce lower, longer waves. By adjusting the pendulum's length and mass, Zhang Heng created a natural frequency filter. The device essentially ignored short, sharp local vibrations but responded powerfully to the long, rolling waves of distant earthquakes. This is not primitive engineering. This is applied physics.